Hello my spooky people! In this installment of Secondhand Sewing, I'm going to be making a jumpsuit. I don't really have any excuse on why I wanted to make a jumpsuit. I'm going to blame somebody in my Discord. Because I can. They mentioned having some overalls, and the idea of making a one-piece garment beyond just a dress kind of stuck with me for a while. Then I realized I have a pattern for that and some material. The material I have, I'm pretty sure was an offcut from somebody else's project they wound up donating. There's a lot of yardage to it, so I think this is going to be a perfect project for that fabric. It is a majority synthetic fabric, which is fine, but I just need to be aware of that. I have this pattern from 1979 that I am going to use. I'm going to be following along with this yellow version. This pattern is a size smaller than what I would normally go for. I don't think a baggy jumpsuit would be very flattering for me, so I'm going to make this pretty fitted. I am going to change the collar. I'm going to go ahead and make that bat wing. I'm going to also change the tie-ins that kind of connect it in the front, pull it all together. I'm going to make those bat winged as well. And then I'm also going to make this flare-legged or bell-bottomed. So not only is it going to be fitted up here, it's going to flare out pretty much at my knees and, I don't know, maybe lean more into that 70s look. And I think that's all I'm going to do for modifying this pattern. So because it's not the right size and I'm doing so many modifications, I definitely need to do some mock-ups, so let's start with that. So this is the first mock-up. I ended up having to restore the pattern when I was making this one. Part of the fun of using thrifted patterns is they often come used, and this one specifically already had a bunch of adjustments made to the pattern, so I had to kind of use the sewing lines and restore the seam allowances and just try and get back to the basic shape of this, and that's what this is. I'm honestly not mad about it. This pattern is a size 12. I'm generally a size 14. With this pattern being fairly loose fitted, I think that's what's making it fit as well as it is right now. I know in the final garment there's going to be elastic right here to kind of help pull that in, and then ties in the front. I think the torso is a little bit long, so I think I'm going to take some length out of it, like right here. This will have long sleeves with it, this will have a collar with it, this will have pockets and all of that. Those don't really affect the fit of the garment, so I'm not worried about them too much right now. Right now, I'm just trying to get the main body to fit me and look right. When I originally looked at this pattern, I was thinking some like bell-bottom legs, so I think I want to adjust the hip here as well and maybe flare out the bottoms just a smidge. I'm going to make the first round of adjustments and then do another mock-up and then see where we're at. I'm going to turn this inside out and then mark a few things on the seam allowances that'll help guide me through the next bits of adjustments. So I'll turn this inside out real quick. Inside out. There we go. So I'm gonna use my mirror here. We'll do it on this side. So I can go in just a smidge, like half an inch probably. We can go half an inch right there. Yep, okay. We got in just a smidge, and then right there. So shorten right here. Focus on this, and not that much. Right there. Okay, so I've marked a few things. I'm going to take those markings to my patterns, and I'm just gonna go for it and make another mock-up. So let's do that. I'm really darn happy with this. This turned out amazing. I think I'm good enough to just make the final one. It's a little baggy and frumpy right now because I don't have like the ties or the elastic back here, but this fits really well. I'm ready to just go for it. Yeah, and I don't even think I need to adjust the length of these because I kind of like that they're floating on the floor like they are. That's great. I think the only thing I want to do is a teeniest adjustment down here, and I think that'll just do it for this. So let's go make my jumpsuit now. Wow, okay, so that went fast. Keeping with the thrifting theme here, I also found this offcut from a thrift store, so I'll be using it to make my jumpsuit. It's majority synthetic fiber according to a quick burn test, but it has some weight to it and I think it'll be pretty comfy. Once I get all of this cut out, I'm going to first get the pockets, collar, and tie-in set up and ready to be embroidered, and I might as well get the facing ready while I'm at it. The front pockets are doubled and pinned along all of the edges. The back pockets start with being double folded at the top. The collar is doubled as well and pinned along the curved batwing edge.
The tie-ins are folded along the long fold line and then pinned along the batwing edge as well. And finally, the facing is folded at the inner edge, pressed and pinned. I'll then sew everything I just pinned, leaving open edges on the tie-ins and the front pockets to be turned out and pressed and pinned next. I'll also fold the remaining edges of the back pockets and pin those as well. I'll then run a top stitch along the edges of the front pockets and the tie-ins to keep those flat. I'll also sew the remaining edges of the back pockets. At this point, I had to leave the project here and unfinished for a week while I went on vacation. By the time we got back, I was itching to get back to finishing it and making another vision come to life. So after a day of recovering from my vacation, I jumped back into the project, starting with drawing on my embroidery lines using a gel pin on my pockets, tie-ins, and collar. Excuse me while I make about 4 days worth of work look like absolutely nothing. For the most part, it went pretty smoothly. The pockets were easy, since I only had to worry about the outside looking good and clean. When I got to the tie-ins and the collar, I slowed down a bit because I needed to make the backs look somewhat nice and clean as well. For the back side, I would loop the thread back through the previous stitch before going into the fabric and to the front. This kept the embroidery pattern the same on both sides, so if the ties or the collar were to flip, it hopefully won't look as messy and unfinished. After all that was done, I can finally put this thing together. I'm starting by attaching all of my pockets. The front pockets are sewn onto the sides of the front panels and along the outer edges. And the back pockets are sewn onto the back according to some marks I had made on a mock-up. Once those are all in place, I'll go ahead and sew up the center back seam. I need to make sure all of my seams are finished for this garment, as this fabric is wanting to fall apart in my hands. So I'll do this by trimming one side of the seam allowance, then folding it over twice, encasing all of the raw edges. I'll then pin that down and then sew it along the folded edge. For the front, I'll sew the center front seam with long running stitches to be removed later once the zipper is installed. I'll then finish the lower part of the seam the same way I did with the center back seam. Next, I'll attach the tie-ins to the side seams of the front. Then I'll make a little pocket for some elastic on the back panels by sewing on some bias tape, and then threading a length of elastic through that tube that I just made, and then sewing it at both ends to keep the elastic in place. Now I can move on to getting the front and the back connected. I'm starting with the inseam on the legs, finishing this with the rolled seam allowance method. Then I'll do the long side seams. Finishing these was honestly pretty difficult, and I should have just done some French seams here. I ended up just going really slow and bunching up the fabric behind the foot and being super careful to only sew what I really needed to. I need to get the facing attached to conceal the zipper seam before I can sew the shoulders together. And once that's done, I'll attach the collar at the neckline. I'll get the bottom hem of the pants finished next with a simple rolled hem, which will finish the main body of the jumpsuit. All I need to finish up now is the sleeves, starting with a gathering stitch at the shoulder of each sleeve, following some markings from the pattern. Each sleeve has a little slit opening at the cuffs, which I'll do the tiniest rolled hem on to seal the raw edges. I'll then sew the sleeves closed using a French seam. Some lessons were learned from those pants. Before I attach the sleeves, I'll get the cuffs attached, gathering the sleeve into the cuff where needed. I'll sew it, then fold it over and close the ends. I'll then flip the cuff right side out and then sew along the edges. Finally, I can attach the sleeves with some French seams, and then to finish the jumpsuit, I added a button and a buttonhole to each sleeve cuff. And then we are off to the reveal!
I have some feelings about this. Overall, I think it went well. I was definitely getting very frustrated by the end of construction, and the project felt like it was dragging on for a long time, and I think that was partly because I left for a vacation in the middle of it, so that might be playing into why I have these feelings. Let me just get into the good and the bad, what happened with this. The good, I think the overall vibe is perfect. It hits exactly where I was wanting it to. I love the bell bottoms of these pants. They are kind of ridiculous, and that's exactly where I love to live. I love the fit on my hips. I think I nailed that fit there, and like the length and everything. I love the pants part of this, but everything above that is a little bit what didn't go so well. When I was doing mock-ups, I definitely should have done more detailed mock-ups. The sleeves are a bit short. When I was doing the mock-ups, I didn't think I'd need to worry about that, because kind of a short person, and it's honestly rare for sleeves to be short on me. Whoops. The back pockets need to be raised by like 2 or 3 inches. They are way too low on me, and that is definitely something I should have figured out in the mock-up stage, but I didn't think of it. The front pockets I think need to be lowered, but because they are connected to the tie ends, I couldn't really do that without also lowering the tie and the elastic, which honestly I should have done anyway. The elastic and the tie ends, they are on my natural waist, but it's also, I don't know, something about it feels too high. I feel like it should have gone just a little bit lower. So if I was able to lower that, I'd also be able to lower the front pockets, which probably would have helped a lot with the issues that I'm having with this, but it's not something that I thought to do a mock-up of, so here we are. Speaking of the elastic, it is creating this weird something to happen back there. I'm not super happy with that either. It's not super flattering. Don't exactly enjoy it. I don't know. I feel like if I wore this out, it'd be fine. Nobody would really care. But it's just kind of nitpicky things that I notice that I'm like about. So I like it, but there are things that I'd definitely change if I ever did this again. The issue is I just don't want to do that amount of embroidery again. I'm happy with it. I am. I definitely want to change a few things, but if you are interested, please check out the Discord link in the description. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments. Go ahead and like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and comment with a spiderweb emoji, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!